Hi, and welcome to another edition of We Review Races That Are Dying. Today we are doing Ironman 70.3 St. George, Utah, and this is the final edition, so this review may or may not help future generations if they open it back up.
At least you can hear our stories about it.
Yeah. Are we doing race stories too, or are we just doing review?
No, we're doing the whole thing. Man.
Okay. Let's jump right in. So, St. George, Utah. I have some fun comments, but I don't know if YouTube would allow my language. I'm going to call it the hilliest place on earth.
We are in the mountains of Utah, that is for sure.
So we flew into Las Vegas, and it is about, call it a 2-hour drive from Las Vegas to St. George. Highly recommend it. It is I-15, so you got on I-15, and I think it's 15. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then you got off in St. George. So
and the views. I mean, you got to go through. I mean, a beautiful canyon. That one that we went up through. I mean, so you can fly into St. George. I mean, St. George has an airport, but they're doing the Vegas to St. George route was fine.
Worked out great. So we come and we check in on Friday. This race is a point-to-point, a two-transition race, point-to-point on the bike. And so you have to get the bike in pretty early and at a different site.
And note that St. George is on Mountain Time, Las Vegas is on Pacific Time. So if you do that drive, you're gonna lose an hour. But so for check-in, let's just talk about check-in. You do need to get there. It's a Saturday race. We did get there on Friday. Had plenty of time to check in stuff, but I think the cutoff was 5 o'clock, and it was 3 bags or 2 bags. You had your run bag, bike bag, and then your morning clothes bag. The check-in was just kind of weird for us. So we checked in, and all that was fine at the table. We got our race number, our swim cap, with the bib, all of that comes in the paper packet. And then I guess you were supposed to go and pick up your race bags at the next person. But nobody told us that, and it wasn't obvious that so we just walked by it and went and got our t-shirt. Oh, in fact, so they told us to go get your t-shirt.
Go get your t-shirt,
Go get your t-shirt. They didn't say anything about the bags. Go get your t-shirt. So we went and got our t-shirt, and we're kind of like, do we get a backpack? Where's the? I mean, this is Ironman. We paid a bunch of money for this. We want a backpack. And they were like, oh yeah, it's in the athlete village, through the gift shop.
Yeah.
It was just weird. So we walk out and you got to walk. I mean, it wasn't a long way, but I mean, you had to walk through regular stuff to go use your backpack. I mean,
and there have been other races where the day of bags were inside the backpacks. Right when you grabbed the backpack, that stuff was in there. So logical assumption of.
So they're actually doing a like an athlete talk or whatever while we're going to get our backpack, and so there's a whole bunch of athletes kind of centered in this little thing around the stage, listening to the guy talk. And tell, all kinds of stuff that were probably pertinent to the race that we didn't pay any attention to. But we could tell they had bags. They
had their backpacks and so we pick up the backpacks and there weren't any bags in there.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking around and
it's kind of strange.
Yeah, so finally we went back and inside the tent, the check-in tent, figured out that they were giving out bags there. But that was probably about the only thing weird about check-in. I mean, other than that, it was fine. I mean, QR code. You got your time and chip at the bike drop-off. So you had to go. You left, check-in. You could have dropped off your run bag because transition was not too far from check-in. You could have dropped that off. We didn't. We ended up going, getting our bikes ready at the reservoir and dropping that stuff off there. And is there anything special about that? It was a good ways away, 30 minutes.
Yes, it was not close. It's not close by either bicycle or car, as it turns out. But it was interesting the way that it was set up. The triathletes were supposed to go in a certain. Their explanation inside of the packet was good. The athlete packet was good. But you went past the entrance and then you went into, I'm going to call it a secret entrance to the park. It had like a keypad and a gate, so like a ranger entrance. But then we weren't charged any fees to go drop off the bikes.
Because the park was open that day for people to come in. So I guess that was the deal, is if you'd gone in the main entrance, you had to pay, but they sent us around back, and we were able to get in and not pay.
So we go over the swag. You got the hats this year. They lost the netting on the side, so they're...
You got us at the finish line.
Sorry, never mind. Swag, we got at the thing. Yeah, we just got the shirt. My bad. We'll come back to this. They had posters, and unfortunately, mine were damaged in transit. But it was really cool. I like the little, the one-sheet posters were really cool. I love when races do that, so you could, show off on the wall.
Backpack.
And the backpack, thank you. This year it is like a drawstring top, which I absolutely hate. But we did get the zipper. I think Ironman's only allowed to have one zipper in their backpack, so you could have a zipper at the top or you could have a zipper at the bottom. Not bad.
I mean, the design's cool. Everything, they're going with the dots. So you got the dots
on the... Yeah, because it was triangles last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, something. Yeah, I think it was triangles. So they got dots on the shirt, dots on the backpack. I mean, dots on the hat. But...
So, bike check-in was really well run. I mean, the race was very well run. They have run an Ironman in St. George, Utah since 2010. So this is the end of the current relationship with Ironman. But everything was well organized. We've done a few races that it was the last year of the race. And so I view everything through that lens. It's the last year of the race. Not that nobody cares. They still care, but they don't need to worry about next year. So it's not...
Ironman is the best about that, though, yeah. Right? They still put on a really quality race. I mean, I guess the thing that we noticed was they were out of water bottles. Did they have stickers? They didn't have stickers either.
No, they did not make... So there were no... I looked for St. George hats. I wasn't going to buy a hat, but there were no St. George branded anything. So
it was all Ironman brand. It's just like, yeah,
Ironman.
There could have been. I mean, the village has been open for several days, so yes. they could have been. They just sold out of all that stuff, which would kind of make sense. But.
Yeah. So traditionally, when we show up for the last day, stickers are usually gone. So that's not a huge shock. But yeah, usually they have water bottles. So Ironman wasn't taking any chances of having to sell discount St. George stuff later. The backpacks being in the back felt like so that we had to go through the merch tent and go into the athlete village. That was the only reason I could see for...
Yeah, because there was plenty of room in that tent to give out backpacks. But
so no big deal. So we drop off the bikes, do a little short ride. The road, the parking... All of the roads were in pretty good shape. Parking lot was probably in the worst shape of all of it, and it's in fine shape. But it was chip and seal asphalt. And if you watched our other videos, hi all three of you, we appreciate it. The chip and seal is mostly rocks with very low tar, which makes riding a little bumpy. So we anticipated that coming out. I mean, we've ridden in Arizona. We've ridden. A fair amount in the Southwest, so we knew it was
we usually hate chip and seal. As far as chip and seal goes, these roads were actually
very good.
Decent. Yeah. All right, so come back, drop off our run bag, which was fine. I mean, it wasn't any. I mean, did you have access to your run bag? Well, we had access to our run bag because we got there the next morning before anybody else did. I mean, it was dark. But probably you would have had access to it to be able to drop off something. I don't think they wanted you to have access to it. You definitely had access to your bike. I mean, the next morning you went in there, but
they Yeah, yeah. They weren't encouraging the run bag access on race day, but they.
I mean, there's always an emergency. You forgot.
No.
You forgot to put your running shoes in there. I mean,
Yeah, they didn't stop us from going in there.
Yeah. Okay, so that covers check-in. Kind of covers transitions. The T1 and the T2. The T1 was 8 bikes per rack. You could set up just like normal at your bike. Your run, your stuff was all in a bag, and so you didn't set that up the next morning. Anything else as far as transition goes?
No, the bathroom lines were fascinating. We got there early, and so we didn't have any problems the first go round. But we're done after we'd finished setting everything up. We didn't really have anything better to do, and so we got back in the bathroom line. I didn't have to go when I got in the line, but by the time we got to the actual, it was 30 minutes worth of line to go to the porta potties.
I mean, so we always say this. What people do is they you should do the opposite of what everybody else does. So people come in and they're like, all right, well, I need to get my bike ready, and then oh yeah, I need to pump up my tires, and then oh yeah, after I get all of that finished, then I can go to the bathroom. Don't do that. You go straight into transition. You go straight to the bathroom. Once you get out of the bathroom, don't do anything to your transition area. You grab your bike. You go pump up the tires. And then you come back. Then you can set it all up because there's no line to set up your own stuff.
No,
there's a line
for everything
for
else.
Everything else.
So yeah, it was pretty crowded. They said 2,700 signed up and 2,400
showed up.
Started, and then what was it? 2,100 finished.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I thought that's what we were told. So around a little.
It's actually a higher number to finish than I would have thought.
So it's good. The hotels, there were tons of hotels in St. George. Hotels was not a problem. We didn't sign up. I mean,
we didn't book a hotel until the week of.
We looked early, and there were tons of hotels, and so we never felt the pressure to book a room, and all of the hotels were great. Where the place that we stayed was offering a shuttle to transition in the morning.
Oh wow!
I wasn't sure how you were going to get home, or back to the hotel at the end of the day. But
yeah,
I guess you could ride your bike or.
Yeah, we've done that before.
But the thought was very nice.
And that hotel did have a 4 a.m. breakfast.
Yeah, they called it a runner's breakfast. That was pretty funny. St. George did a fantastic job of hosting. It felt really good.
Yeah. I didn't feel like anybody hated us being there.
No.
Even though it's the last one, until you figure that they're ready for it to be over. Did not get any indication that.
No. So everybody that we met from Utah was super nice. Yeah, very friendly town. Great place to go. As we'll learn later, I think it's a great place to visit. I don't know about a great place to bicycle, but we'll delve into that. You want to start with the swim? I'm going to complain about the bike. You want to do the bike?
Sure. I mean, so the rest of Friday, we tried to drive all of the bike course because. I mean, we had already seen the elevation gain. We had already, people had already said, "Oh, it's going to be a brutal bike." So we were like, "All right, well, let's just see how." I mean, we felt like it was going to be really brutal. Let's see how brutal it was, and we did. We were able to ride the whole bike course except for the worst part, which was in Snow Canyon, which is a state park or something, and we were just too cheap to pay the entrance fee to go in there. And I don't know that it would have made any difference. I mean, we knew. I mean, that was on the map where it just. But still. So we had an idea of what it was going to be like.
Yes, there were plenty of people on the bike as I'm talking that were being very helpful. Hey, there's a false top, so when you're going up, watch for the campground. So the guys that I were talking to who had done this race before.
I didn't talk to a soul. And nobody gave me any heads up.
We had a different experience.
We did.
So yes, meet locals. They will help you in your quest.
All right, swim. So we both talk about the bike and stories on the bike. The swim. Go ahead.
So the swim's a reservoir swim. It was a big triangle, basically. It's a triangle. There were 3 sides.
Yeah, but I mean, it was almost just an out and back.
Yeah, it was pretty close to an out and back. It was 8 buoys out, then your turn buoy, 1 buoy in the middle, turn buoy again, 8 buoys back. So technically triangle. You're welcome.
Okay, I got
so it's fair. The sunrise, we swam into the beautiful, glorious sunrise.
Dead smack into the sun.
Except that the sun was just off just a little bit so that we couldn't use the sun for sighting on the way out. So this is self-seating, and I think that people's times were beyond aspirational this time. Generally, we say that it's an aspirational time, so you don't self-seat by your pool time, you don't self-seat by the time that you think you're going to have, you self-seat by the time that you hope you're going to have. And so, there are 2 schools of thought, and one of them is wrong. That one is wrong. So you're going to have a bad time. If you do that, there are plenty of people that are worried about that you got an hour and 10-minute cutoff. There are plenty of people worried, hey, what if I don't make it? So I want to get in early so that you're going to get swam over. The hour and 10-minute cutoff is from the last person in the water. So I had...
No, it's not. It doesn't matter where you seat yourself in the swimming. If you don't finish in an hour and 10 minutes, they pull your chip.
They pull your chip, but you keep racing. So right.
They tell you you're not supposed to keep racing, but they pull your chip for sure. So it doesn't really, for the swim, I guess for us, we knew it was going to be hot, so we tried to move towards the front a little more than what we should have. Well, other people had moved toward the front more than they should have, and so anyway.
So the kind of corral to get in was very dense. So you were pretty well on top of people for a while. So it took. Gun went off at 7, and we were in the 30 to 35 to 40 swim category, which was a little bit of an aspirational time, but about right for where we were. But it took us 40 minutes to get going.
It was like 7:37, 7:38, something like that for us, which we were really surprised. Because we had moved pretty close to the front. Were we halfway? I think maybe we were more than halfway towards the front. I don't know I wonder. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I got out there and there was a dude backstroking. I was like, "Come on, man! I get you do your race, but if you're backstroking in the middle of the lane, you're just asking for somebody to get you." So
I got a story about that.
All right, we got stories in a minute. So you go out. The reservoir, I had been warned, could be choppy, and I could see if it was a windy day, it could be choppy. It was very smooth for us, except it was one time for me. You said there was a second time that you got the rescue boats decided whoever needed to be rescued was on plane. So the waves were like ocean waves coming off the boats.
It was big boats. It wasn't a jet ski, dude. It was a big boat.
I don't know what. All I felt was, because you got it was a little wave, and I was like, okay, fine, and then whoa.
It really did kind of feel like the ocean, and you're kind of going back and forth and getting dizzy. But yeah.
So yeah, there was 4 or 5 of us that all poke our head up in the middle of the swim to go see what is happening.
Water was in the mid 60s.
66.
I think maybe at 65 you can wear booties. I don't because
cap is what, maybe booties too, but cap was what they were chasing.
Well, in the morning she announced that the water was 66, so no booties today. So, and I'm assuming booties on your foot.
Yeah.
Right. But whatever.
There were still plenty of people wearing their swim cap, and it's right, the neoprene head warmer swim cap.
It was not that cold.
No, it was.
We've been in some cold water, and that was actually pretty pleasant.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, I still don't understand what that cap does. I mean, I understand that would keep your head warm when it's cold, but I don't see any performance enhancement from
a hat.
from the cap. You're already wearing a swim cap over that, which is giving you the aero. So, but I'm neither an owner of Ironman nor a referee. So, you guys make the rules.
You got any swim stories?
Nothing exciting. Just had a few people like. I mean, it was early on. I was within the first 200 yards that I've got some side strokers and some. I mean, the breaststrokers don't bother me because they're generally sighting, and so right. I actually like those people because I'll watch them, and then for about 30 seconds after they've chosen, like you watch them breaststroke and then go back into freestyle, and they've got a solid 30 seconds that you can trust their navigation is correct. So you follow them. Not the whole time. I trust no one on the swim. But I was using some of that, and it got pretty uncrowded pretty fast. So I went on the inside, and that pretty well seemed to be the deal. So what kind of swim stories you got?
So coming out, so first of all, it's a high elevation. And I've had this problem before in Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado, where I lose my breath, and I had to stop and recalibrate how I was swimming. I guess Sam had the better plan, which was just go out in every second stroke. Were you breathing on your left or your right?
Yeah, I tend to breathe on my left, so it was.
Well, so that worked out for you on the inside because the buoys were all on the left side. So anyway, I had to stop, and I mean, I had to stop and hang on to the jet ski for a couple of minutes while I caught my breath. But so to just be aware of that. I mean, I guess if we practiced the day before, I don't know, we practiced in Boulder and I didn't have a problem. I mean, you always want to go out on the swim slower than what you think that you should. And I thought that was doing good. But anyway, whatever.
It sounds good, right? Go out slower, but I mean, you're right. You're in this shoot, and you're amped up, and everybody around you's amped up, and you're
it's
crazy,
a race,
right? Yeah. So then you're chugging down the ramp into the water. So there's a lot of legitimacy of.
But as I'm swimming, I swim way on the outside, kind of closer to where all the kayaks and everything were. Cause I knew we had. I didn't know. I felt like we were kind of pushed up further in the group than we should have been. Maybe we weren't, but anyway, so I swam on the outside, and backstroke. I'm gonna call him backstroke guy because he was back. He wasn't doing the backstroke, like this. He was doing
this
backstroke, and so I mean, it's basically like you're the largest person in the water, and you're just gonna hit people. Well, anyway, as I couldn't outswim him, and this dude, I'm gonna tell you, he would swim, and then he'd turn over and go freestyle, and then he'd hang on to a kayak for a second, and then it's like I came up, and it was like he knew that it was me, because then he'd start swimming and backstroking and all this. Anyway, at one point, I'm getting hit in the head. I'm like, what's going on? Dude is passing me with the backstroke going like this, and he had hit me and used me as a leverage to keep going. And I'm like, how slow am I swimming that this dude is doing all of this crazy stuff? But anyway, it was kind of funny that it was wetsuit. I mean, clearly it was wetsuit legal, so the floating is so much better. I mean, I love it when it has fresh water. It's nice, crisp, and clean. The water was actually really clear. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was like Red Sea ocean clear, but it was clear enough to where you could underwater kind of see other people in the water and kind of know where you're going.
Yeah, I'd definitely say one of the clearest lakes we've ever swam in.
What it did at the end, so I was having some of the big waves at the end, and you could see the bottom, and so you're kind of going up and down, and so you get kind of motion sick with that. I sighted on my right, which the buoys were on the right. The sun was directly in front of you, so it was fine with me. I just sighted on the right, just sighted via the buoys and not the end buoy. Made wide turns around the end buoys and came back. I mean, that wasn't. They did have strippers. So you get out of the water, go up a boat ramp is what it is, and they did pretty good about carpet.
Yeah, the carpet was
everywhere.
great. Congratulations to Ironman for finding. I think they listened to us, really.
Really,
But
yeah.
there
So
was
everybody
carpet.
else that's watching these videos should thank us for the carpet. I mean, that's
But
really
there was carpet all the way from the ramp to transition. So you
Yeah.
ran along carpet the entire way. So kudos to Ironman. We would give respect where it's due.
Go into transition, hop on your bike, head out on the bike. You got stories for the bike?
We got all kinds of stories for the bike, but
I mean, I guess give us the bike review first.
so I think that this course was designed by an ADHD squirrel. He just saw a hill. Let's go up that one. How about that one? That one. That one. There are 3 U-turns on this course simply so that they could give you more hills. Well, 2 of them were. Nope, 3. So
Two of them were a U-turn at the top of the hill, and one of them was
Was the
U-turn
U-turn at the bottom of the hill?
I don't terribly mind U-turns at the top of a hill, but the U-turns at the bottom of a hill, that's just mean.
It was unnecessary. So I feel like we should preface this. We are right from Georgia and Florida. I mean, there's hills in Georgia. There's not in Florida. There's hills were always going to be tough on us, and we knew that. And then, of course, it's the chip and seal, and their asphalt out there for the Southwest is, I'm going to say, the best Southwestern asphalt
might be.
we've
That's
ever
pretty
seen.
good.
Which
Which is not saying much.
It
But
easily beats Texas, but everybody beats Texas. But yeah, so St. George had done a wonderful job of preparing the roads. There were, I mean, the course marking was great. There was one downhill that had a bunch of it had, like, the skim coat of asphalt was peeling up or something, so it had a bunch of potholes. But they were well marked.
you wanted to be by yourself on that,
Yeah,
because
'cause
I was sitting
you
there
were
weaving
swerving.
in and out of them. Yeah.
So yeah, you're going downhill and watching that. So most of the course is actually I enjoyed. I really liked. It's a challenge. This is a challenging bike course, and so I'm going to. You got to look at it through those eyes. I had one person from Salt Lake. I was biking with her and asked her, it's like, have you done this course before? She's like, no, but I do this ride a lot. I was like, okay, tell me about Snow Canyon. She said, I ride a lot of canyons. Snow Canyon is the worst canyon I've ever ridden. Great.
Because remember, this is the part we hadn't seen yet.
Yeah. So there's some long, like, kind of curvy uphills early in the race that aren't bad. It's not my favorite thing, but none of them were bad. But we get to, so you get there's a little hill, an up and down before Snow Canyon, starting at mile 38 or so. So you start to get warmed up on that, and then you get into the canyon, and it's just a slog. It's an 8 mile up with no brakes. It starts relatively clean, but you're pumping. A climbing bike, I really would have liked a couple of extra gears. Climbing bike would have been a lot better on this. But you go up then, and so I had a guy tell me, hey, there's a false top, right? So you see, we got up, and I don't know what the series of my explicatives was, but I think the Mormons were offended. So you just suddenly saw the rest of the hill, and it's long and it's steep. They had a water and aid station at the bottom before you started the canyon, and then they had water stop at the top. So it was like an abbreviated aid station at the top, which was really appreciated. So kudos to Ironman for putting that bonus aid station out there.
There were 4 aid stations on this course, as opposed to
normally 3, and they had cold water at the top, so you finish that. I cramped up. We got into the canyon. There was a fair amount of bicycles having problems, tires or whatever, people changing tires. The rougher the roads, the less PSI. So yes, your tire says it can handle 120 PSI.
90 every time.
It sure works better. So I saw, and then there was a fair amount of people at the bottom before the big climb started, resting their legs, taking a break.
I don't know if that was a great idea or not. I mean, there was kind of a little. I mean, when I went by, but there was like one little tree, and everybody's kind of huddled up in the shade up under this one tree. I mean, was that a hey? I'm going to take a 5-minute break prior to doing this hill? I don't know. I don't know what that was, but I looked at it and I was like, huh.
Yeah, we're right. It's our first time doing this race. We're passing these people like I know I'm missing something. This is not good. Yeah. So I'm gonna say 3/4 up the way, and I was feeling twitches of cramps, and finally those twitches were getting worse and they were lasting longer. And I was like, man, I can't fall over on this bike. So I took my shoe out of the pedal and put it down and locked up. That was it. I was done. I couldn't. Fortunately, I was out of the main path of travel. But the road, it's a 2-lane road and it's closed. So one of the lanes they're keeping clear. I saw like one referee the whole time. But everybody was staying.
They were looking at me.
So everybody's primarily staying in one lane. There were a few people that would go over to try to get some length to get climbing. There's no shade, and in the canyon there is no wind. The canyon is blocking any, which is I guess there's no headwind, but there's also no
breeze,
wind.
Yeah.
And so I knew it was hot, and I was taking extra salt pills. I have tons of salt. Salt is I've cramped up before in races, so I know to do it, and still not enough. So I don't know how to take enough salt in for this ride, but so I had to walk. So I walked the last quarter of the rise. I would say I was in the minority, but I was not alone. There were significantly more walkers than any other race I've ever been to where we've had hard hills. So that's all I have to say about that. We got to the top. There was, once you start walking, there's no flat spot to be able to. Right, I was hoping with a little rise that I could get my legs good to go and get back going, but there was nothing flat. So once you're off the bike, you're off the bike. So that's good, FYI. But yeah, once we got to the top, so there's the steepest part, and then it doesn't level off, but the grade is not nearly as steep. So the last little part of the hill is not so bad. So I rode the rest of that. Got some water at the top, and then you have, it's 8 miles of descent. There are hills on the way down, but I was able to get at least 3/4 of the hill off just coasting. So I had a few close calls of people drifting. The bad road section was the bad road section, so not only am I watching the bad roads, but I'm also watching the people in front of me, trying to guess which side of the pothole they're going to take. And so, I made for a fun little challenge. But yeah, I had one guy that drifted, and he's doing 20, and I'm doing 40. And so to that guy, I don't actually apologize. I don't apologize for screaming at you. Stay on the right side. But I got to talk to 20 people. I had a blast on the ride. I thoroughly enjoyed the ride. I hated Snow Canyon. I expected to hate Snow Canyon. So it didn't disappoint. Did you got any stories? Got any thoughts?
Yeah, it's we knew at mile 40. So the ascent or the big ascent is from mile 40 to 48. Really, mile 46 and a half is the top of the hard part. Once you get to mile 46 and a half, there's a downhill that gives you some momentum to go back up to mile 48, and it was fine. So I tried to start out slow on the bike. I'm like, all right, I know that this is going to be a hard bike. I mean, we know it's going to be a hard bike. And at mile 40, when I'm passing all these people on the side of the road that are stopped, I'm kind of like, man, I'm feeling good. This is. I think I'm going to be all right. And so start going up the hill, and like Sam said, roads are fine. They're not great. They're fine. In the first 40 miles, there is some up and down, and there's some up and down that'll challenge you, but it's not any that's that's impossible to do. In Snow Canyon, I start going up, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling fine, and it's just a never-ending hill. It is not an impossibly steep hill.
No,
because we've had those before.
Yes, we've had steeper hills than this.
But then, it was the temperature was in the 90s, which last week it was in the 70s, and this next week it's going to be in the 70s. So, Mother Nature just took care of us and made sure that it was in the 90s for this race. And it just drained me, and I never cramped up, but at some point I was just out of energy. And mentally, you're like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And then when you start seeing people that are walking their bikes, you're like, okay, wow. And in Blue Ridge, we saw people walking their bike up that, and I slogged through Blue Ridge and decided that after I slogged through it, that walking the bike may have been because some of those people walking their bikes passed me later on, and I was like, man, that would have been a good idea. So I went ahead and got off my bike when I saw a bunch of people walking. I was like, all right, let's do that. Because I was just out of energy. So I walked it for a little while, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe I can get back on. And so I clipped back in, tried to get back on, and it's a pretty steep uphill, and you don't really want to go downhill to be able to clip in. And I'm having trouble getting on. I finally get on my bike. I do about 20 or 30 strokes, and I'm tired again. And the people that were walking are still ahead of me. I'm like, all right. So I get back off, and I just walk it back up to that less steep area and ride it. The guard shack is they called it the guard shack because I heard some people talking, oh, there's the guard shack, I can see it. And so I guess when you can see the guard shack, that's the top. And it was just I didn't hate the ride. I didn't even hate that I walked, and it was, I'm going to tell you that it was a good decision for me to walk my bike, because I passed a lot of on the downhill. I passed a lot of the people that had passed me on the thing. So to give you an idea, from mile 40 to 45, it took me 30 minutes, right at 30 minutes. From mile 45 to 50, note that this includes some downhill, remember, because 46 and a half is kind of the top, and then you go down and then back up. But it took me 32 because I walked some of that. But mile 50 to 55, 10 minutes. 10 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. So while you do have a relatively long 8-mile descent, at the end, it's not very much time. So you can recover, but it's not very much time to recover. It's a relatively amount of good mileage. So get to the run, and I'm still pretty drained once I get on the run. But so tell us about the run.
So run is a 2-loop around the city of St. George, also created by that same ADHD squirrel that tries to find hills. There is at least one, I feel like I should point out, there's at least one flat spot in all of St. George, because we got to run down it in front of the government building there, so they at least found one flat spot for us. But the course is an up coming out. So that first, you said...
I think the first 5K, I think the TV announcer said the first 5K is all uphill, and which is true. I mean, which is good because I mean that means the last 5K relatively is all downhill, and you want to end on the downhill and not on the uphill. But still, it's definitely a hilly course. I mean, I wouldn't call it rolling hills. I mean, there were no hills that were just so steep that you couldn't run up them if you wanted to. I did not, but it was hilly. Not, I wouldn't call it rolling, and certainly not flat. This is a hilly course.
I feel like, because I want to compare it to other hilly run courses like Chattanooga, on that back section where you have that really steep hill. It didn't have any hills like these. These were a lot of less steep. You had a few coming out from under the bridge, so there were brief spurts of taller hills, but I mean it was unavoidable for what it was. But the cool part about this, or my favorite part about this course, was that you ran on the golf course. And I've had runs on golf courses before where you're on the cart path. In this particular case, there was some cart path, but you ran in the grass on the golf course, and a fair amount. And so it was, the grass was, of course, not as hot as asphalt, so that felt really good. The grass is nice and soft to run on, but it's golf course grass, so it's low cut pile, so that's maybe the perfect running, maybe my favorite thing to run on all the time, because there's no drag from tall grasses blowing down your shoes. So it was really, really great, and you get to do that twice.
But no, that's not the majority of the course. Is not on grass. No. Not even. I mean, there's a section on the grass, and what I'm going to say shade. As far as shade goes, that's really the main place where you would get shade was on the golf course. So that's probably what made you like the golf course so much.
Shady.
I mean, because there were along the roads that you ran along, there were occasionally a tree where you could pick up a little bit of shade, but I would not call it a shady course. There was some shade, limited shade. I think is what we decided.
Zero.
Yeah, zero shade on the bike. Zero, none. But on the limited on the.
Yeah, it would give you maybe, I call it a respite from the sun, right? There would be one tree at a time where you could, get some shade. So that helped. There was a cloud there for a little bit, which was really nice. But the scenery in the golf course was really pretty. The city is the city, but the golf course was fun to look at as well. And then I don't know if we said it on the bike course because we should have. It's really pretty.
Yeah. The beautiful area.
The views were gorgeous. I wanted to hate them, but
beautiful area.
So along with the hills comes at least a very pretty scene. You did the two loops. The aid stations seem to be more spaced out than a mile. Probably not as far as a mile and a half, so maybe a mile and a quarter, somewhere in there. I couldn't get on my first run through. I couldn't get accustomed to where that spacing was, and some of that had to be right. The course itself, right? Here's a spot where I can put an aid station. And so if there's not very many flat spots, there's not very many places to put it. But there was plenty of aid stations. I didn't have any issues that I was dying or anything. Ice, they did a really good job with passing out ice. Not every aid station had ice. Every aid station had a dunking booth. Right, it was like a trash can of super cold water. They were pouring ice into, and I'm not a germaphobe, but that was disgusting in a way that I just can't put words to. Of everybody's dunking their used, sweaty, brutal hats and then putting them on their heads, and so then the next guy. So I didn't choose to do that, but.
I didn't dunk, but it didn't bother me at all. I mean, there was one guy on one of the aid stations. One guy was dunking a sponge in there and coming out and just dumping it on you, and so that was kind of cool. But I mean, I had maybe 1 or 2 aid stations run out of ice, but when I came back the second time, they had it, so they were restocking ice. And I mean, it was so hot that you really wanted the ice. The course itself, there was that one little flat area, and the reason, so as you're coming around at mile 6, there's an aid station, but you're kind of going downhill, and straight in front of you is the finish line, and you're like, oh wow, the finish line, and then you hang a left and go down this dead flat road, and then make a U-turn, and then come back. And that was your turnaround. You would go off to the left to go to the finish line, or you keep going straight and go around this roundabout and start the second loop. But it was just kind of, as you're going down, you're like, oh yeah, finish line, and then nope. I mean, it wasn't a big deal because since it was 2-loop course, you realized it before you actually went to the finish line that wasn't the way to go to the finish line. But that was just kind of funny that you're just kind of running straight towards it, and then we got to go off to the left. The aid stations you could not see from a long way away. So since it was 2-loop, you knew where they were the second time, but the first time, some of them you didn't know they were there until you got to it. I mean, there's one that's kind of around this curve, up a hill, around a curve at a church, and I mean, you literally had no idea it was there until you were right there. Because sometimes that aid station can kind of give you a little motivation to, let me run a little bit harder till I get there, and then I can, stop or slow down or whatever and get some water. Or they had more. They had the regular Ironman stuff, but
yeah, they changed up. It was not Gatorade on this course. It was
Morton gel.
No, the Gatorade, some new whatever.
Yeah, I thought it was Morton Endurance stuff.
I thought it sounded like a slightly different name, but obviously
they were calling it electrolytes, as I was seeing. Anybody want electrolytes?
Yeah. I still ascribe to nothing new on race day, so I don't know how I feel about that. We should have done the research to know that Ironman was changing. I would have preferred Ironman send out a specific email of, hey, we're not using Gatorade Endurance anymore. We're now using this, which is fine.
They probably did send out an email. We probably deleted it.
That's possible. That's definitely a possibility. It definitely would have been the athlete guide or talked about or whatever. I would have ignored it anyway. But if you're going to make a change like that affects athlete nutritional plans, you need to be on your messaging about that. So I'm assuming that's going to be for this whole year, that they've got whatever this new stuff is. So if that's important to you, we've had tough experiences on hot races before. So especially on hot races, I run with a belt and my own nutritional supply. So I had problems finding ice that I felt was clean enough for human consumption.
The ice that you could get yourself was in kiddie swimming pools, and you just kind of stuck your hands down there and grabbed it and did whatever you wanted to with it, put it in your clothes, or I like to hold ice in my hands. But yeah, I don't know that I would want to put that in my drink for sure.
I go to the first aid station, and they're like, "Yeah, we have ice at the end. We have ice at the end." All right. So I get down there, just this kiddie pool, and I'm watching these. Nope. I'm not drinking that.
They would have ice in cups.
They did. So yeah, I finally got that. I guess maybe I'm a germaphobe. But
all right, finish line. Tell us about the finish line.
Finish line was really good. So the community support, or the people on the race, there were a ton of spectators. There were spectators everywhere. So it was really, really fun that there was somebody cheering you on all over the place. It was really cool. Kudos to St. George for that. The whole run course, there were people.
There were 0 spectators in Snow Canyon.
That's fair. I don't know. There were people walking up the hill with me, so I don't know what they were doing.
They were looking at you going, why are you going so slow?
No, they ask, are you okay?
No.
Yes. I can't move, but yes. But the finish lines, this was a Pro Series race, and so you had the pros, they finished their race. I know before I hit Snow Canyon, they might have finished their race halfway into my
The
bike.
pros were finished, had taken a shower,
Yeah,
taken a nap.
so,
They were all nice and refreshed by the time we got to the finish line.
We know that they were there. We never actually got to see them.
Yeah.
So the finish line was fantastic. They had a bunch of stands built up that
really?
nobody used.
Okay.
So everybody was on the sides.
They might have used those when the pros came through.
Could be. That's what
By the time
we came
got
through,
there-
they didn't need them.
Yeah.
That's probably very true. So the finish line was good. You went straight flat in, and they had a person walk you through everything. So I don't know. Maybe I looked terrible. Sorry, you're looking at me like you didn't get the same benefits, right? I had somebody take my hand and, all right, so tell me your name, and she was using my name and make sure I'm okay. All right, here we're gonna get our timing chip off, and here's your hat and your medal. All right, everything okay? You good? So maybe.
I didn't get that.
I might have looked tougher than.
Well, he finished. He was faster than I was, so probably that was the deal. Was those guys had quit by the time I got through.
They were ready to go home. So I was assuming that was just a medical check. They had that after Worlds. How you doing? Yeah, all right. So good, kudos to them. So we got the medal.
You got the hat. So we've been wearing the hat and the medal.
The medal is really cool. Last year was shapes,
State
shapes. So I saw the square. I was like, oh, we're going to get state shapes again, but no, it's square. Well made. Yeah, the hats they've changed this year from away from the mesh on the side. I mean, it's still a technical fabric and still breathes, but the hats now seem to match the shirts instead of all. So
yeah, with all the circles.
We'll update that as we get more information in later this year. But so far the hats match the shirts. So the check-in tent was the snacks tent. They had tons of pizza, rice, plenty.
They had a lot of food. I didn't get any of it. I wasn't in the mood to eat, but they had plenty of food.
And pizzas were continually being delivered. So I never saw them run out of pizza. When we were leaving, the race was over, and I went back to get some more sodas. They were all out of soda, but still plenty of water, plenty of pizza. So it didn't matter when you finished, you were getting that. That's pretty much everything I got. You got any other thoughts?
I mean, you picked up your bags. Now, quick story on that. I go to get my bags, and I mean it's some middle school kids that are looking for them. So I told them a number, and the youngest kid goes and looks like bops around. He couldn't find it. Got another girl to help, but she couldn't find it. And finally, I was like, well, can I just go look on my own? And they're like, oh yeah, knock yourself out. So I go and look. I can't find it. And I'm like, I sure hope Sam got my bags. And it turned out that he had.
Somehow we had a different experience because I had nobody helping. I was allowed to walk straight through. I just walked in and your bag's next to mine. And I was like, oh, well, I could grab that helpful. Yeah. So I had seen Billy on the run and miscalculated how fast I did my second loop versus how he did his. So I grabbed the bags. I pulled the wetsuits out and hung them up. And then went to go find him on the run.
I got back. I got back to my bike and I saw the wetsuit hanging up, and I'm like, "Oh, that was a great idea." And I touched it, and it was dry. That's how hot it was. It didn't take but 5 minutes for that thing to dry.
It was wet when I pulled it out of the bag, and by the time it wasn't 10, 15 minutes later.
It really was.
It was dry.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was difficult to see how much salt you were losing, how much you were sweating, because it was just evaporating. It was crazy.
All right, 30 seconds. Are we going to do a race rating?
Sure. You want to go first? You got a rating on the swim?
Are we doing a banana score?
Yeah, banana score.
I hated that you were going straight into the sun. I don't know how they could do that different, but straight into the sun. So I 5.5, 6 on the swim, I guess. I mean, it was a good swim. And that is a good score. It's just not a top score.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be the same. The boats, I get that you need to rescue people, but maybe
sometimes you just gotta let somebody die, right?
If it was a real emergency, it's a real emergency. But you had 2 real emergencies at the so a little bit less waves on the boats would have been nice. But as far as factors that they control, I'm with you. That's a 5.5, 6 swim.
Bike. I mean, it was so you got to take the toughness out of it. I'm gonna give it a same 5.5 or 6. I mean, the roads. I think they probably picked about the best roads they could. The course was fine. The U-turns were I didn't like those too much, but I'll say 5.5.
I mean, it was a really good bike.
Yeah. I
really want to hate it. And I did not love it, but I didn't hate it. And so I feel like we should judge it based on, what it was, right? This was supposed to be a hard race, right? This is billed as a hard race, and so I can't take off points because I didn't like how hard it was.
Right.
Given Southwest, given hard race, I'm going to give it a 6. I had to walk on the bike, and I don't walk on the bike. So you've created a course that was challenging. So for people that want the challenge, this is a great course.
I mean, it's probably kudos to having the 4 aid stations on the bike, so you get a bump up there. Yeah. So I can see where you're at. All right, run. You want to give me a rating on the run?
I didn't love the run. I felt like that could have been better. I love the golf course, but I'm going to give it a 4.5.
I think I'm still at a 5.5 on the run. I mean, they had plenty of aid stations. They did. I think they did probably as well as they could on the ice. The golf course part was different. It was a hilly run. They built it as a hilly run. This was just a difficult race.
Yeah. It was.
So I'm gonna give it 5.5 overall.
Overall,
so, yeah.
I got to give the race a 5. It's not a race I would ever do again, but it was a good race. If you're looking for a challenge, it won't be this one because they've shut it down. But they.
Of course, you're not gonna ever do it again. They're not doing it again.
Kudos to Ironman. They, as the race was shutting down, it didn't feel like the race was shutting down. So they did a great job with that. Kudos. I really should be impressed with that. So stay tuned for next time when we bring you. I don't know what. We haven't decided what our next race is. But we definitely have Louisville on the schedule this year and question mark.
Something else.
You guys have any thoughts? You can send suggestions in. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you tolerating us for this long.